Think about your life for a second. It's a collection of these intensely personal moments, right? Falling in love, getting a job, dealing with sickness. We feel these things as uniquely our own. But what if I told you that even our most private experiences are being shaped by these massive, invisible forces? To really get what that means, we need to start with a moment that feels about as personal as it gets. That's the voice of Jim Bush, a blogger from Western Pennsylvania. Back in 2020, his wife Glenda was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. I mean, that's just a deeply personal, heartbreaking moment. You know, the kind of moment that feels like it belongs to you, and you alone.
But how do we really make sense of a moment like that? Or, for that matter, any of the moments that make up our lives? Is it all just purely individual, or is there something bigger going on here? Well, that's the big question at the heart of what we're talking about today.
Look, our default setting is to see our lives as a story that we write ourselves. Every single choice, every feeling, every win, every loss, it feels like it all comes directly from inside of us. It's our story, and we're the star. But sociology, it offers a completely different way of looking at it. It suggests we aren't just actors on a stage. The stage itself, its design, the lighting, all the hidden machinery, it all has a profound influence on our performance. These invisible structures are what sociologists call social facts. And that brings us to this key idea from a sociologist named Emil Durkheim: social facts. The easiest way to think about them is as the unwritten rules and structures of society, things like laws, morals, cultural beliefs. The key thing is they exist outside of any single one of us, but they're always pressing in, guiding our actions and our thoughts, a lot of the time without us even noticing. They're as real as gravity, just social instead of physical. Okay, so let's apply this lens. Let's start with the most personal thing there is, our own sense of self. I mean, who are we? Let's go back to Jim Bush's blog. He writes about his childhood in the 1960s. He was antsy, probably had what we'd now call ADD, and he got labeled a problem child. He even had one teacher announce to the entire class that he didn't like people with red hair. Now, these weren't just random, mean comments. They were messages from the outside world that were telling him who he was. And this experience, it is a perfect example of a huge sociological theory, the looking glass self. The basic idea is that we don't just form our identity in a vacuum. Nope, we see ourselves reflected in the eyes of other people. We imagine how they judge us, and then we build our own sense of self based on that perceived judgment. And this is so powerful because those labels from the outside can so easily become self-fulfilling prophecies.
The sociologist Charles Horton Cooley summed it all up with this kind of mind-bending quote: "Our identity is a social product, built from thousands of little interactions and reflections." So Jim wasn't inherently a problem child. He became one through this distorted mirror that others held up to him. In this way, even our most core sense of who we are, it's a social product. Now, this idea goes way beyond our individual identity. It shapes our most intimate relationships too. For instance, how do we decide how to build a life with a partner?
Jim describes his marriage to Glenda, which lasted nearly 48 years, as being based on a division of labor. He worked multiple jobs to be the provider, while Glenda was the master of the home, raising the kids, running the household. He says for her, feeding her family was a calling, and it was a partnership that really worked for them. But here's the thing. If we pull back the lens, we see that Jim and Glenda's personal arrangement wasn't just something they invented. It actually follows a really powerful social model that I'm sure you recognize: the breadwinner/homemaker marriage. This model really took off during the Industrial Revolution, when work started moving outside of the home. And it's a model that's facing huge changes today as our economy and culture keep evolving. And propping this whole model up was a powerful social fact: the ideology of separate spheres. This was this widespread belief that men were just naturally suited for the tough, competitive world of work, while women were naturally suited for the nurturing, private world of the home. So you see, Jim and Glenda's very personal, loving partnership was also a perfect expression of a large-scale historical social structure. So we've gone from the self to the family. Now let's zoom out even further, like way out, to see how these forces connect our personal work lives to the entire global economy. Jim tells this incredible story from the 1980s. He was consulting for a factory in Taiwan that made products for Sears. The factory owners fly to Chicago to ask for a small price increase, and the Sears representative just flat out refuses. He tells them the jobs are already moving to the next, even cheaper place, Communist China. In one single conversation, the fate of thousands of workers was sealed by this massive global shift. This personal story is a perfect snapshot of what sociologist Immanuel Wallerstein called world system theory. The theory basically sees the global economy as one big system. In this system, you have wealthy core countries that benefit from the cheap labor and materials from less developed peripheral countries, like Taiwan was at the time. The shift Jim saw was just the system finding an even cheaper source of labor to keep the whole thing going. And the consequences of this system are immense. This number, it represents the percentage of people in some of those peripheral countries, like Madagascar, who live in extreme poverty. We're talking less than $1.90 a day. That rush to the bottom that Jim witnessed in that meeting room in Chicago has very real and very brutal human consequences all across the globe. So, you're starting to see the pattern, right? We zoom in on a deeply personal story, a kid's sense of self, a couple's marriage, a business deal, and then when we zoom out, we find a powerful social theory, a social fact that explains the bigger picture. Our lives aren't predetermined, not at all, but they are a constant negotiation between our own choices and these massive invisible forces. So this brings the lens right back to us, to you and me, right here, right now. How are these forces shaping the story that we're all living today?
Thinking about his great-great-niece being born during the pandemic, Jim wonders how future generations are going to remember this time. His personal experience of quarantine and worry and hope is part of a massive global social fact that is literally being written as we speak. Our private struggles today will become the social structures of tomorrow.
At the end of the day, seeing the world like this doesn't make our personal stories any smaller, it makes them bigger. It connects our private lives to the huge, sweeping forces of history and helps us understand not just what we're doing, but why we're doing it. The final question, then, isn't just, what's my story? It's, what social forces are writing the script of your life?